morning, and welcome to Morning Movie News, where last night Beyond the Trailer hit a pretty big milestone, and that's 500,000 subscribers. So many of you were keeping an eye on that number, and I really appreciate that. And I got so many wonderful congratulations in the past 12 hours or so. So I want to say thank you for that and for the 500,000 subscribers by doing another round of Skype calls. I just recently did one, so this is a little sooner than usual, but I want to celebrate with you guys. So for those of you who aren't familiar with this, this is something I started, I'd say, at the end of last year, and it's where I ask you to tweet me if you're interested in a one-on-one Skype call with me personally, and if you are, you get entered into a drawing where I pick about 20 people to talk with on a Sunday. If you can't do a Sunday, we find another time, but I just set aside a day kind of like for robo Skype calls, and we have so much fun. I've gotten to talk to BTT viewers about movies across the globe, from South Africa to Australia to Africa. It's just so cool, and I love doing it. So it's as much it's as much something nice for me as I hope it is for you, and I always appreciate that you guys want to talk to me personally. I'd also say that I feel bad when I have to say that I can't talk to everyone, but that's why I'm glad for another round and a chance for another 20 BTT viewers to do this. So if you are interested in talking to me on Skype, what you need to do is you need to tweet me, so you have to have at Grace Randolph, but you also have the hashtag 500K subs, so everybody knows what we're celebrating. So hashtag 500K subs, and then let me know that you'd be interested in that Skype chat, and I'll make a note of your name and enter you in the drawing. And you have the next couple of days to do this, and by the end of the week, I'll pick the 20, and I'm thinking that the date we'll do this will be sometime in early May. But I'm very excited. I can't wait to talk to another group of BTT viewers, and thank you everyone who's not only subscribed to Beyond the Trailer, but to this channel. I'm happy to announce it here because I know you guys are like the hardcore movie lovers, and we have some really intense conversations over here on the Movie Math channel. And also thank you to everybody who follows me on Twitter. It really means a lot, and it's a big part of why I like YouTube so much, and that's the interactive part of it. So thank you for not only enjoying my videos, but interacting with me about movies. All right, so that's in place of the viewer question today, and so I'll see you over on Twitter if you're interested in that. Let's get on to today's movie news. Now, Disney could have easily dominated this episode, but because I really feel bad for DC, and I feel like they're the underdog here, and we do have a DC story, I threw that into the mix as well. But it has to go last because the Disney stories are bigger news, I'm afraid. So the first story of the day is something I'm so happy about, and that's The Jungle Book 2 has been greenlit at Disney. They're moving forward with it. I had hoped that they would have announced that Neil Setti has been signed, but I would imagine hopefully that's a given. But the coverage in The Hollywood Reporter, who I believe broke the story, said that Jon Favreau is in talks to return, but as a producer, that makes me also a little bit nervous because he did this. I think that The Jungle Book is the best thing that Jon Favreau has ever directed. Although I can understand why he wants to go on to do another project and use the momentum of this success. He wants to cash in his chips. I don't know if he'll make that Magic Kingdom movie at Disney or not. If I were Disney, I'd be like, please don't leave Jon Favreau. We're sorry we ever kicked you off of the Iron Man movies. But, we had to be mean to you, Jon, for you to grow. Just like Will Smith in the Suicide Squad trailer to El Diablo was like, I was just trying to get you there, man. That's what I would say if I was Bob Iger over at Disney, or Alan Horn, the head of their movies division. I'd be like, I was just pushing you so you could evolve to the filmmaker I knew you could be. But anyway, also the screenwriter is in talks to return. But the reason that they've already greenlit a sequel is because this movie is extremely successful in India. It's actually the second most successful Hollywood movie there after Age of Ultron. So Disney's worked very hard. I made a video about it about a year or so ago. I'll put a link at the end of the video description, at the end of the video and in the video description to their efforts. I did a video highlighting their efforts in India, and I also talked to Neil Setti last week, and the interview just got posted yesterday. So I really love this movie, and I'm very happy for Neil, and again, I want to see him signed on. But Disney has been working very hard to make inroads into this market, and they seem to really be succeeding. And kudos to them for not whitewashing the role of Mowgli. I think a lot of other studios would have done that. They did not, and I think that they are seeing the dividends of being authentic to the source material. And hopefully, and not, obviously it's a child actor, but, no big, they have the voice cast, which I guess are the stars. But I think The Jungle Book is getting attention based on the visuals, not so much the voice cast. So I think think that it proves that, audiences will go and try something new with new talent if, you really make it an attractive package with other elements like the visual effects and the story. Right now, the movie sits at 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I wouldn't be surprised if it stays there. But when you see The Jungle Book, my spoiler review will go up later today, you'll be like, sequel! I mean, it just screams out for a sequel at the end of the movie, and I'm so glad that they're already working on it. So that's the first story of the day, and I know it'll be hard for you to talk about it because you haven't seen The Jungle Book yet, most of you, although I know some of you, I know there are BTT viewers in India, and you've really enjoyed the film as well. So you can also talk, though, about the success of a film that has authentic casting in it. I think that's a really nice headline here. And also Jon Favreau's success. All right, the second story of the day is very exciting, and that is they had a junket in Los Angeles over the weekend for Captain America Civil War. But Kevin Feige was getting asked questions about a different captain, and that's Captain Marvel. On a side note, though, I love that Kevin Feige will answer any question that you ask him in an interview about any project. He might play it close to the vest, not show all of his cards, but still, the guy's really game to just talk about his properties. And why wouldn't he? He is still the most successful in the game right now. But anyway, he was asked about Captain Marvel, and he actually said that the director will be announced in the next month or so, and the casting over the summer. And a number of people have said probably at Comic-Con, and I would agree with that. So that's very soon for that picture to come together, even though it's a ways off at this point. So obviously, Captain Marvel's going to show up somewhere in the MCU before she shows up in her own movie. But they did say it was going to be an origin story, so perhaps we'll meet Carol Danvers in a film, and something will happen to her that will allow her to start her journey and go into her own movie. So you might see the creation of Captain Marvel, where she gets her powers in another film. I'm guessing Infinity War Part 1 and 2, because, maybe they'll call the military in there. Carol Danvers, who comes from the Air Force, will be involved, and then something will happen in that battle. Will it be another Infinity Stone powering everyone? Maybe she'll get punched by Thanos, who knows? But maybe that could be a really great moment for not only any character, but, we've been talking about Mary Sue's, so for a female character to sacrifice herself, although you can sacrifice yourself and still be a Mary Sue. I'm going to clarify that later this week. But anyway, I think it's interesting to see that movie finally coming together and moving forward, and it's going to be coming out probably at Comic-Con, so get excited for that, and we'll be talking about the director obviously very soon. Also, on a side note, it was announced that Chris Pratt will be in Infinity War, and that's certainly very exciting for him. Although I think it's kind of sad when you think about like Hugh Jackman and Andrew Garfield, Wolverine and the old Spider-Man respectively, and that they really lobbied hard to be an Avengers movie, and it looks like they never will be. Well, Andrew Garfield definitely won't be. So it's kind of, it's like, who gets called? Who gets the call, man? And some people are stuck on the bench. So the third story of the day, I promised a DC story. I mean, this one, unfortunately, though, is not a particularly positive one, because I think that Zack Snyder, I really feel they need a Kevin Feige over there. Many of us feel that way at this point, but nobody's watching not Kevin Feige. Everyone's watching Kevin Feige, but nobody seems to be watching Zack Snyder. He seems to be answerable to no one, and I think that's a big problem over there. And I don't know why they have so much faith in him. They're like, don't question Zack Snyder and the Snyderverse. I'd be like, no, question it hard. And he's changed. The story, though, is he's changed directors of photography on Justice League, which, of course, is going into production now. It's moved forward. They didn't fire him, and they didn't apparently put a new producer on it, or at least they didn't announce it. They're just going for it. I mean, they said this will be a lighter tone, so maybe they feel that they can course correct themselves, and maybe they can. We'll see. Although I do suspect at this point that people just have it in not only for DC, but also to some degree for Zack Snyder. So he might be someone that even no matter how good a movie he makes, people just aren't going to get behind it. Some people just aren't going to get behind it. Which is a shame, because I think he's really progressing as a filmmaker as well, just like Jon Favreau. But it saddens me to see him make a choice like this. So he got rid of Larry Fong. Man of Steel, I think we can all agree, the cinematography was not great. It was very bleak, and a number of people have color corrected that film after it came out, and people are much happier with the color corrected version, at least visually. But I think Man of Steel had good elements. I don't want to totally trash that movie, and I never have. But with Batman v Superman, he went back to his longtime director of photography, Larry Fong, who has worked on every Snyder film but Man of Steel. But apparently also now not on Justice League. But look who he's hired. Because, by the way, I'd like to say, I thought the Batman v Superman was stunning in its visuals. Like, I'll never forget the Flash cameo, Batman working with the laser in the Batcave. I mean, the movie was just absolutely stunning. I loved it. I thought it was gorgeous. So, I'm very sad to see Fong go, because I don't think that anybody felt that the cinematography was a problem. I've never seen anyone, talk about the bleakness of Batman v Superman like they did Man of Steel. But he hired this guy named Fabian Wagner, who is a TV DP. Now, I know there's some good work on TV, but this guy's done Sherlock, the second season of Sherlock, Da Vinci's Demons, some Game of Thrones episodes. But get this, the one other movie he's done is Victor Frankenstein, and that was not an attractive film. The film had many problems, but visually it looked kind of cheap. You weren't like, well, at least the movie looks good. You were like, and it doesn't even look good. So I don't understand why you would hire someone like that for such a huge movie. And also, Warner Brothers spends so much money on these films, maybe nobody else will touch it, but I'd be like, they'll touch it for enough money, and I would go and get like an amazing DP. I'd go get like, Emmanuel Lubezki, the guy who Alejandro Inarritu's always working with. I just go to them the Oscar list, and I'd be like, you do it. You come over here. And I just say, well, how much do you want? How much do you want? I need a really great DP to work on this, and I need a name. I need a name that everyone's going to get excited about. And so I'm just, I'm really surprised at that choice, and I feel like that's the last thing they need is to bring people like that. Like, maybe Fabian Wagner is really talented, and maybe he's upping his game. Maybe Victor Frankenstein, there are other factors at play there, and he can do better. But for Pete's sake, don't let him practice on Justice League. Go let him prove himself somewhere else, and then bring him up to the big leagues. Because you don't get bigger than the Justice League movie. Even though their Batman v Superman has had problems, that puts even more pressure on Justice League because it needs to, drag the main DC movies out of the ditch that they're currently lying in. So we'll see. But I'm curious to what your thoughts on that. And it's really hard. It's hard to. For a lot of us are being very faithful to the DC EU, the DC Extended Universe. I hate that name so much. But they're making it hard. All right, so that's today's morning movie news. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you again for everyone who is subscribed to Beyond the Trailer. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you on Twitter. If you're interested in that Skype call, be sure to leave your thoughts down below. I think today's top 3 stories and what you'd like to see covered tomorrow. And, of course, any questions that you might have that you'd like to see answered here on the show. All right, thanks for watching. Bye.